Dear learners, myself Dr. Sandeep Kumar Bansal, Professor at Ramesh Institute of Vocational and Technical Education, is discussing unit 2nd of subject Pharmaceutical Organic Chemistry, that is BP 401T. In continuation of our previous discussion, so I welcome all of you in the lecture 13 of this series. So, before proceeding further, let us summarize what this unit basically concerned. Again, as I have discussed in all my previous lectures, that this unit comprises of geometrical isomerism, that basically deals with the nomenclature of geometrical isomers and methods or nomenclature methods that we have implemented or we have learned in this was cis trans, EZ, syn or anti system. Parallelly, method for determination of configuration of geometrical isomers were also being considered or being also discussed. Second part, that is conformational isomerism, ethane, N-butane and cyclohexane. Next, this unit also deals with stereoisomerism in biphenyl compounds, that is also known as atropisomerism, condition for optical activity and stereospecific and stereoselective reactions. So, for easiness, this complete unit is divided equally in 8 lectures. Now, in this lecture, we are going to discuss conformational isomerism with reference to ethane, N-butane and cyclohexane. So, discussion regarding conformational isomerism, I have divided it into 2 parts. In part 1, we shall discuss what is conformational isomerism, how it arises, next what are various conditions required for conformational isomerism, next what type of interferences are faced by conformational isomers, and how different conformational isomers are drawn. This is very important point, how the various conformational isomers are drawn and what is the ultimate impact. What is the ultimate impact of this conformational isomerism over the organic compounds. So, our part 1 discussion will deal with these 6 points. So, let me tell you again what we are going to discuss in this present lecture. We are going to discuss what is conformational isomerism, how it arises, what are the various conditions required and what type of interferences are being faced by different various conformational isomers and how these conformational isomers are drawn and what is the overall impact of this conformational isomerism. So, to understand conformational isomerism, first of all, this isomerism is most of the time exhibited by alkanes, although it is not a universal fact. There are some more compounds that also exhibit conformational isomerism, but this is particularly exhibited by the alkanes. Now, if we talk about alkanes, so what are alkanes? Alkanes are generally represented by the formula CnH2n plus 2. For example, methane CH4, C2H6, C3H8, this is methane, ethane and propane. So, this conformational isomerism has to be discussed with reference to more and more with the alkanes. Now, if we talk about alkanes, so alkanes are characterized by the sigma bonds. See, there is a structure of ethane. So, you can here you can see that this CH bond are the connected with sigma bonds and similarly this CC bond. So, all these bonds are connected with the help of the sigma bonds. Here you can see again this is the 2D that is 2D diagram, that is 3D diagram. In this 3D diagram, it is also clear that these alkanes are characterized by the sigma bond. Now, what is the characteristic of this sigma bond? That electrons are symmetrically distributed. Sigma bond have the symmetric distribution of the electrons and internuclear access was CC bond. So, here the electrons are symmetrically distributed, here the electrons are symmetrically distributed. So, alkanes, what is the characteristic of alkanes? So, alkanes are characterized by sigma bond and sigma bond are known for the symmetric distribution of the electrons. Now, what does it sense? What is the meaning of distribution of symmetric distribution of these electrons? What does it mean? How it is going to impact? So, this symmetric distribution permits free rotation about the CC single bond. So, students, underline this point that this symmetric distribution of electrons around the sigma bond permits the free rotation. So, here you can see that this front portion can be rotated at this angular axis easily, and this rotation is possible due to symmetric electron distribution along the internucleus carbon-carbon axis. So, dear students, this is the point to be understand to be learned that alkanes are characterized by the sigma bond and sigma bond is characterized by further characterized by the symmetrical distribution of the electrons along the carbon-carbon internuclear axis, and this symmetrical distribution is permitting the alkane molecule for the free rotation about the CC single bond. But if this rotation is really free, we have to think if it is free, really free in true sense. So, it will be clear in our forthcoming discussion. So, till now we have clear that the symmetric free distribution permitting this free rotation around the carbon-carbon single bond. See, now you can see this free rotation easily. Now, due to this rotation, what is happening? Due to this rotation, different spatial arrangement of carbon atoms in space are observed. Different spatial arrangement of the carbon atoms in the space are observed, and that can be changed into one another. Means, see, if I am assuming this carbon, another carbon, and it is rotating. So, once it is like this, if I am rotating again, it will rotate and the position of hydrogen will change as this is rotating continuously, and it can rotate complete a circle of 360 degree. So, now during this completion of circle, infinite number of rotations are possible. Infinite number of rotations are possible, and infinite spatial arrangements are also possible. And if we are able to convert these arrangements into one another just by rotation around this CC single bond, and this is called conformation or conformer or rotamers. So, dear students, the various arrangements that are resulting due to different rotation, different spatial arrangement, we are calling them conformation or conformer or rotamers, and the phenomena is called conformational isomerism. So, what do you know? Means the rotation around carbon-carbon single bond is resulting in infinite or number of conformational isomers, conformers, and this phenomena we are calling conformational isomerism. So, I have cleared this point, what conditions are making this conformational isomerism or what are the conformational isomers. Now, alkane can thus have infinite numbers of conformation by rotation around CC single bond. Now, as I have indicated earlier, is this rotation really free? No, this rotation is not completely free, not completely free. Now, what are the hindrance, which characteristic, which conditions are creating hindrance, why it is not completely free? So, it is due to the possibility of the weak repulsive interaction between the electron clouds of the CH bond. Actually, various carbon hydrogen bonds, they are also possess their own electron cloud, and this electron cloud being electronegative in nature create repulsion between them, and this repulsive force will enforce the create the hindrance in the free rotation of the CC single bond, and we are calling it torsional strain. So, first hindrance is the torsional hindrance strain, that is inhibiting, that is creating the problem in the free rotation, and the value of this hindrance in terms of energy is 1 to 20 kilojoule per mole. Now, this is a flow diagram. With the help of this, we can understand how it is giving conformational isomerism. So, let us summarize it. So, do the compound have the same molecular formula? So, there are two answers, yes or no. If no, definitely there is no question of isomerism. If it is same, then we can say that it is isomers, these are the isomers. Now, if whether they are having the same connectivity, answer can be yes, answer can be no, or answer can be yes. If it is no, then the isomers will be of the constitutional type. If it is yes, the isomers are stereoisomers, and the compound can be interconverted by the rotation about the single bond. This is our question of concern. Can be the isomers, these compounds can be interconverted merely by rotation. So, yes, if you are guessing, then we can say that the compound possesses the conformational isomers. If it is no, then it must be the configurational isomer. So, the necessary condition for a compound to exhibit or to exist a conformational isomerism is the interconversion by rotation about the single bond. So, if it is possible, then we are in the situation to say that any compound can possess conformational isomers. Now, how the structures of alkanes are drawn? So, these are the very conventional methods. We can draw a skeletal, means this is if I took example of ethane. So, I can draw like this. So, this is what I am drawing, it is the condensed. If I am drawing like it is skeletal. So, there are so many examples, like this is cyclohexane, this is skeletal structure, or here we can have cyclohexane. pentane. And if you are representing in a very simple pattern like this, so this type of representation is known as calculated representation. And if we are representing it with the help of vase and dash bonds, so we are calling it perspective representation. So, alkanes or structure of alkanes can be represented by skeletal, condensed or calculated or the perspective structures. Now, how the conformers are drawn? Conformers are drawn with the help of a sawhorse structure, and sawhorse structure, how they are drawn? They are drawn with the help of a long straight line, and the front and lower end is representing the lower end of this line is representing the front carbon atom, and the upper end is designating the rear carbon atom. So, this is the front carbon and this is the rear carbon. So, upper end is designating the rear carbon atom and lower end is designating the front carbon atom. And since each atom carbon in ethane is attached to 3 hydrogen atoms, so there are 3 bulging lines at like this. So, they are representing the position of hydrogen. So, this is how this is known as sawhorse structure. Using that we can represent the any conformer, and the angle, inclined angle between these hydrogen atoms is 120 degree. So, I hope you can draw this sawhorse structure. So, how to draw this? I have given you an example like this. We are representing both the carbons like this. This is the carbon, front carbon. Let me assume the example of ethane. So, this is the front carbon, and we are representing all the 3 substituted hydrogen, not substituted hydrogen, all the 3 hydrogens with the difference of angle 120 degree, and this carbon representing the front carbon and this carbon representing the rear carbon. So, here you can see visualize this is the front carbon, this is rear carbon, again this is front carbon, this is rear carbon, front, rear, front, rear. So, it is very much clear that the lower end is representing the front carbon and the upper end representing the rear carbon atom. Now, next the method or the next representation which we can use for the representation of conformation is the Newman projection. Now, how we are representing this? So, we are taking a dot first, we are drawing a dot, and this dot is representing the front carbon atom, and all the 3 attached hydrogen are drawn like this at an angle of 120 degree. So, this we are front carbon we are representing with the paper dot, and rear carbon we are representing with the help of a circle, and again all the 3 attached hydrogens are represented like this. So, this type of representation is called Newman projection. So, in this front carbon is being represented as a dot and rear carbon is represented as a circle, and 3 hydrogens attached to each carbon atom are represented with the help of 3 lines either bulging out of the circle or diverging of the dotted lines. So, these lines are inclined to each other at an angle of 120 degree to each other. So, this is the representation, overall representation of a Newman structure. How we can represent this Newman structure? So, one more example, this representation is represented in a very colorful way. So, this you can say that the carbon hydrogens that are represented in the magenta color, they are attached to the back carbon, and the hydrogen that are represented in green color, they are representing the front carbon. So, here is one more example. Here you can say that these hydrogens are red in color. So, they are representing the front, they are attached to the front carbon. So, they are being represented with red color. Similarly, the carbon that are attached to the rear carbon, hydrogens that are attached to the rear carbon, they are represented with the white color. So, it is we have to remember the point that front carbon we are attaching with the help of a dot, and rear carbon we are attaching with the representing like a circle, and both the carbons are having their own attached hydrogen atoms. So, for the convenience we can use different colors to represent these hydrogen attached. As carbon carbon bond rotate, interconvert between staggered and eclipsed conformation, and eclipsed conformation is 12 kilojoule per mole higher in energy. So, means if we are rotating, because this is the complete rotation around the single bond, and if we are rotating it, so numerous conformations are possible, infinite number of conformations are possible, and if they are far apart, if they are far apart from each other, means at maximum angle from each other, then the conformation is called staggered, and if they are at minimum distance from each other, they are called eclipsed conformation, and all remaining conformations fall in between these two conformations, that is staggered and the eclipsed. As carbon carbon bond rotates, so their number of rotations are possible in between staggered and the eclipsed conformations. Now, let us talk about the strain, what type of strains are possible, what type of strains are inhibiting the free rotation. The forces that opposes the rotation due to repulsion of bonding electrons, and we do not observe perfectly free rotation. This is a barrier of two rotation, and some conformers are more stable than others, and small energy barrier easily overcome at room temperature, and each eclipsed hydrogen cost 4 kilojoule mole of torsional energy. So, torsional strain is due to again the electron cloud, and this electron cloud, this observation inhibiting the free rotation. So, this is the hindrance, this is the inhibition that is creating restrictions to the free rotation, and steric strain, it is due to the volume of the atoms, and we can say we can observe these differences through this table very easily. If it is hydrogen, the difference is of 4 kilojoule. If it is hydrogen and methyl, the difference is of 6 kilojoule per mole, and this is the most torsional strain, most commonly encountered, most commonly happening torsional strain. Methyl torsional strain, torsional and steric, and difference is of 11 kilojoule, and if methyl goche, it is steric strain, and the energy order of the 3.8 kilojoule. So, these various strains are creating the inhibition in the free rotation. So, now here are the few key points that differentiate between configuration and the conformation. So, configuration can be changed only by breaking and making of bonds, but conformation can be changed by rotation about the single bond. Energy barrier is of 200 to 265 kilojoule per mole in configuration, it is hardly 1 to 20 kilojoule per mole, and internal forces taken to be into consideration, and internal forces are not taken into consideration. Configurational isomers can be separated easily, conformational isomers cannot be isolated easily. Now, how these conformational isomers impact? These conformational isomers impact the drug stability or drug binding to the receptor. So, here we can see that there are two terms, that what we are saying, the two terms are the active conformation and the preferred conformation. So, we must understand active conformation and preferred conformation. Preferred concentration conformation means the conformation with least energy, means most stable conformation, but active conformation is the conformation that is binding more efficiently to the receptor. So, both the conformation may be same or may not be same. So, this is the question of debate, or this is the point of discussion, how it impact. So, it provide us a tool, in order to understand that whether the particular drug is a specific agonist, antagonist, or to eliminate necessary effect to duration of action. So, it can, in nutshell, we can use it in the improve the understanding of the specific drug receptor interaction. So, overall utility or overall use of this conformational isomers results in the to improve the understanding of the specific drug receptor interaction. So, thank you students. I hope you must have understand what does I mean by conformational isomerism, and in next lecture we will discuss conformational isomerism with reference to ethane and butane and cyclohexane. So, thank you very much.